Hey everybody, this is Chewy Plays Nintendo, and today I want to take a look at the different house designs we've gotten in each Animal Crossing game. Before we get too far though, how's about you hit that subscribe button and keep up to date on all my latest videos. So far, we've only gotten a few looks at the players' houses and villager houses in New Horizons, but I'm already excited about the new exteriors. I want to take a look at previous player and villager houses and see how they've changed over the years. So to begin, I really want to take a look at population growing because this had a very unique layout for the houses. They were all located in the same little plaza together, so there were 4 playable houses, and one of the cool things about this is that their entrances were all angled. Usually, we've gotten very used to the kind of like straight north-south look of the houses in other games, but this one had them angled. The houses are facing either, I guess, southwest or southeast, depending on which side you choose, but it's very cool. They're a very simple layout. They've got a window on the side, a front door with the window. The roof changes colors depending on which one you choose, but you have control over that later on. And then they all kind of have this little brick exterior, which does make a return throughout the series. They've got their gyroid. That's the very unique feature of these houses, that all of them come with a gyroid. They're like a little assistant that could do several different things. You could put like items to sell to other characters in case you wanted to trade something. So, I mean, you could always opt to just drop something on the ground and let them pick it up when they log in, but this made it so you could get a little money out of the people. They also have their mailbox on the right, and I always loved the little fence feature that went around this home. So it's very cute. I love the design, and it's just classic Animal Crossing to me. The next house is in Wild World, and this one actually keeps a very similar look to the GameCube version. It still has the red roof. The door doesn't have a window in this door, but it has the mailbox still, and then kind of a similar kind of rocky exterior, but it's focused down at the bottom half of the home, and then you've still got the fence that goes around the whole thing. And I guess one thing I didn't mention in the other one was a chimney, because it didn't really have a chimney, but this house does add a chimney, which is very cool. And I don't know, I think it adds to the cuteness, and I actually think the Wild World houses for the villagers are very cute, but we'll get to that pretty soon. So what we have next is the City Folk home, and it's very similar to that Wild World design. It keeps that chimney. You can see a little bit of the brick pattern, a little more on the chimney. The Wild World one had it a little bit less, but the biggest, I guess, design change here is that it's got more of a wood paneling for the sides rather than that brick kind of siding. So yeah, that's the one big difference here, but we've still got the mailbox, we've got the fence, we've got that classic red roof, which is, you know, pretty familiar for all of the games, but I think I actually changed this one to be the red roof. So the big return here is, of course, that window in the door, and yeah, other than that, it's pretty similar to what the houses have been like thus far. The one thing that's a bummer is that they're not angled, and we can't really see if there is a window on the side and if that it has that feature still, but I do really like that about the original home, just the windows in general. But yeah, very similar look. We've got the mailbox too, which kind of keeps that classic look as well. Finally, we have this New Leaf home, and this is a very different design. It kind of keeps that shape that Animal Crossing has always had, but it does expand on it by adding a little bit more of a roof on either side. And that's mostly due to like the expansions to the home and the ways you could decorate it. I guess the options that you had for the exterior that really changed the look of your home. You also had different styles and everything. But once again, we do have this classic type of look where we have the fence, we have a red roof, we have a very brick exterior for the walls, and then you have the door with the window once again. And yeah, I guess the main difference is the roof style in this one, but you got that mailbox still, and it's always nice to get some mail. But yeah, now let's take a look at some of the New Horizons homes. So one thing I'm very surprised about is the New Horizons homes did opt to keep that very classic Animal Crossing look, and I think it works really well. As soon as I saw this house in that first trailer, I was enamored. I thought it was really cute, and it's actually got some similarities to a lot of the different homes that we've seen so far. The big thing is, of course, the wood paneling that it has, just like that City Folk design. We've got the return of the window, which is the classic Animal Crossing GameCube design, or population growing. The red roof is one that I really like. You can really tell the shingles are very layered in this roof. We've got the mailbox once again. I'd say the biggest thing for me here is the two kind of bushes on either side. I have always wanted to have like a real bush wall right against my home, but it wasn't really possible in, I guess, New Leaf. You could get kind of that bush, that hedge, I guess, for the walling instead of like the fence and things, but it didn't really have the same look as the bushes, so I do really appreciate that the bush has returned in this, because I always wanted to plant one right next to my house. I don't know if this is a feature that is included in the home, or if you can indeed plant bushes right next to it, but my guess is that it is a feature with the home, and you'll be able to change that exterior option in the future. So yeah, very classic look. In these shots, it was kind of hard to tell like the side paneling and everything, but it looks like it is kind of maybe a rocky wall, maybe a wooden wall. I don't know, it's hard to tell, but I do really like this. Here's a look at all of them next to each other. As you can see, you can kind of capture the evolution of the houses, and now looking at them side by side, it's really cool because you can tell like the roof design from Population Growing through City Folk looked very similar, whereas the roof got a much more detailed look in New Leaf, and they've kept that detailed look into New Horizons, so it's very nice to see them next to each other. Finally, of course, the players aren't going to be starting in a house. Once again, New Leaf introduced this. We can see this tent here, but New Horizons is going to feature tents, and so I wanted to take a look at all of these side by side. I've got this clip of the time lapses from the New Horizons trailers that we got, and of course the still image of the starter player tent. This is actually from one of my Let's Plays that I took while I was looking around for the tent images. But anyways, this tent in New Leaf I really like it. It's got like a lot of depth to it. I really like the shadows that they worked in, especially you can tell on that bottom right hand corner where the tent kind of meets at that corner. It's real kind of bundled up, and so you can see a lot of the shadows and the textures there, whereas like you get to the New Horizons one and it does look very like flat. It looks like, I guess the most amount of texture you get is actually in the roofing. That seems to be like a two-part roof where one part is layered on top of the other. But you can see what the really big thing that they changed here is definitely that lighting, that dynamic lighting. When you get to the darker scenes, you can really tell the brightness, and you do get a little change in the shadows where the center has that light, and as you get to the corners, they get darker. There's a little bit less there, but yeah, they've done a really good job with the lighting in this. So I think though the tent looks simpler, it does look really cute regardless. And they do have that little mailbox that is a lot more simple than that red mailbox to kind of continue that New Leaf tradition. But here they are all side by side. I kind of took a light image of them and a dark image of that new tent, and you know, just the same image there. But yeah, there they are. They're nice to see. The next thing I wanted to focus on was the villager houses. The first one I took a look at was actually Poncho's kind of cabin, and we'll take a look at that one a little bit more deeper. But the one thing I want to point out with these is they do have kind of a flat design. They've got textures and everything, but you can tell it's just kind of like a flat wall as the front-facing portion of it. The roofs are pretty cute. They do have this chimney on it, and they do have some drawings on there to give it more of a texture, which is really cool. The houses in Wild World, I mentioned this at the beginning, but they were pretty intricate. I do adore the designs on these, and I think they're probably my favorite at this point. But you have like these little roofs over the doorways, you have a little split part in the house for the window that kind of has a different depth, and the roofs are pretty intricate in these ones. They have a lot of different designs going on, and yeah, overall these were very unique homes, and I love seeing like the windows in different portions of the house, depending on which one you're looking at. I love their brown wooden fences or their white wooden fences. They have a lot of variety in how they look, and the colors are all wildly different too. So these houses are, in my opinion thus far, really my favorite for the villagers. City Folk, I'm surprised they feel flattened out. They feel like not as intricate as the Wild World ones. And maybe it is the pixelated look, but overall, I don't know. I feel like they kind of took out some of the depth that the houses have. They still have it like a tiny bit, but I think the biggest thing they removed is like the features where they had that overhanging roof over the door and everything. It just doesn't seem as pronounced at all. Overall, kind of, I think probably my least favorite design of them, but they do kind of try to capture that Wild World intricacy with some of the depth of the houses, but yeah, still very flat looking to me. Whereas the flat look in Population Growing kind of had its charm because it was so like low res, low quality. So I don't know. I think it's a little bit more charming there. Whereas I feel like with the Wii, which is still technically the best graphically of the mainline games, but they just, I don't know, they didn't make the design as deep as they could have done. Now let's take a look at the villager houses in New Leaf, and these had the most variety, I'd say, between house to house. They had, of course, all of these different styles, like you could have a square house, a round house, a kind of somewhere in between house, and all the roofs were wildly different. In my town, I just had, I don't know, like 5 different roofs from the houses that I looked. They were all different colors and everything. The big thing here is like the exteriors were wildly different, the doors were wildly different, and even the little fencing around, you had hedges and kind of more steel type of fences and wooden fences and rope fences. Those aspects of it were very different, and the doors were all different. So yeah, everything had a lot of variety to it. It was mostly because we had so many exterior options in the game. So let's go ahead and jump over to New Horizons, which has a lot less, I guess, variety that we've seen so far. We've only really seen 2 style of houses. That we've seen the cabin and more of that, I don't really know how to describe it, but it's more of a white house that's got a very rounded look to it. So the cabin, that's more of a square look to it. What I like is that it captures kind of that depth. Where you do have that front door segment, and then a little further back you have a window on the left side, for example, and I really do like that depth and everything. And what I like about this night scene especially is that it has, you could tell like the lighting is coming from a direction and kind of casting a shadow underneath the logs where they kind of turn in on this house. So that's really cool. We don't get a really good look at the roof in this one, or like I guess the tiling in the roof for this, because it is covered in snow, but I do really appreciate the snow a lot in the look of this. The big thing here is that we are, and this is something that was possible in Population Growing, but we are able to decorate that front door with a wreath in some way. A wreath? Sorry, I don't know what I said. But we can decorate it in some way, and we were able to do that in Population Growing, the very first game. We were able to change the design, but it was a lot simpler. We could essentially choose a pattern from our catalog of patterns and then put that up, but now we just have like dedicated items to that. And I do really love the light above the door. I think that adds a lot to it, and the little doorstep as well, right in front. So I don't know, I really like these houses so far. They're really cute. The next house is that white one. It's got a very different look from this log look, much more rounded, much more, I guess, it's just different. But we do have this shot where they're taking a photo and you can tell like the layers of the roof a lot better. So it's got a really cool design and everything. A very like pointy design too at the top, and you can see the chimney very well in this one. So yeah, that's something we couldn't really capture in the log house, but the doors are really nice. The other thing I want to point out is they have items very close to them, but it's not like it has that fencing that we saw in previous animal houses. So that's one thing that's different. Here's a look at that log cabin. That's mostly the reason I got that log cabin at the beginning, but we can see that original design and kind of see it's similar to the New Horizons design, where it still has those logs coming out at the front and the logs going across the side. I'll say that above the door is very different, but yeah, I'm hoping we do get to see a little chimney in these houses soon, but from the angles we've gotten, we haven't been able to see them. Finally, the villagers do show up in tents when they first start, so they don't just start out in houses. They start out just like all the players. They're moving in a tent, so it's not something that is it's something that's new to the series, essentially. But here's a look at the original tent from, I guess, New Leaf, because you could see them in tents in those. You could see them in tents in previous games as well, mostly population growing, but I only had time to get this picture, so here they are. A very similar type of look, more of a pointed look in that original New Leaf tent, and more rounded off in this one, but the colors are very fun. It's very cool that we're going to be able to see two different colors outside of that orange tent. It would have been nice now, thinking back in New Leaf, to see villagers come in different colored tents, but they all opted for that classic orange. It's probably the only one we had to rent at our facilities in New Leaf, so yeah. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed taking a look at these houses with me. I know I'm very excited about them. The house is always a very important feature to Animal Crossing. You do move into a place, and one of the biggest goals is upgrading that place and decorating it, so I'm very excited to take a deeper look into the interiors when we get to see them a little bit more, but thus far we really haven't gotten anything significant enough to really look at and compare to the previous game, so I'm waiting on that. But anyways, if you like this video, please leave a like, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already for more videos on Animal Crossing. So yeah, be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you all next time. Bye!